Hi, let me spotlight myself. So welcome to everybody, and thank you for joining. Thank you so much for coming to join. Uh, Last week, I started this, series. I don't know how long I'm going to go on for, or how long I'm going to do it like this, but I've just been a bit concerned about the state of the nation concerning our health. And I just thought, let me do my bit. This is part of my day job. I actually run challenges and charge for it. But I also thought that, let me help people, because I think half the problem is that people actually just do not know. They don't know why they're not able to shift weight. And last week, we talked about the 5 pillars of health and wellness: the physical, the mental, the emotional, the social, last but not the least, the spiritual. And I just hope that the people who were here last week sort of could begin to understand, yes, so giving back to community. I mean, what are we going to do? They say it takes a village, right? So somebody once said, where do we find this village that they say it takes? Do we ring a bell and they come along? But it is that every one of us just does what it is we can do, So I hope that if you listened last week, or you've listened to the recording, you've been able to understand that if everything is not well calibrated, you are going to be unwell. It's not about doing what you think. One of my clients said, oh, I think I'm okay like this. Meanwhile, her BMI was still almost 30. And it's like, how can you be okay like this? You're not okay until your BMI says so. And please, before everybody says, oh, but BMI is not a correct judge. That's what we've got. That is rule of thumb. Okay, it's just like saying exams are not, exams don't always say determine how good somebody is. Yes, they don't, but that's what we've got, and that's what we will use. Okay, so I'm beginning to sweat. I don't know why. So let me put on. There's a little fan. Oops, sorry. Sorry. I'm just trying to have a little fan here that I wanted to plug. So I hope last week everybody was just able to say that, oh, okay, maybe this part of what I'm doing, I'm not doing as well as I should be doing. Because that's the whole point of these talks, for us to recognize, for us to begin to recognize what it is, where we're supposed to be. Okay. It's going to give me the billowy effect. So today we're going to be looking at habits, because what is wellness after all? Wellness is just, forming new and good habits. We've all grown up with a lot of bad habits, and it's really not, any fault of ours. There's some foods that we've grown up eating. There's some timings of foods that we've grown up with that is really not the best for our health. Or even if it was back in the day, as you get older, and last week I said if you're 21 going on 22, you are getting older, So what we want to do is we want to replace, either form new good habits or replace bad habits with new. And this is going to have to be across all the pillars of health. So for example, you take on speaking engagements or something, or okay, you're like me, I volunteer because I think, oh, this thing is so easy to do. I can volunteer, I can do it, I can do it, And then you, at the end of the week, you find out that you've over volunteered yourself. Okay, you have to then say, my new good habit that I'm going to try to form is to determine, actually work with my calendar and ensure that I'm not taking on too many things, like my children always say, what did I say last week? We're the obligation generation. So part of what we need to start to do is to say, no, I'm going to look after myself. I cannot do this and I cannot do it. So we're looking at healthy habits today and how to form them, right? How many, I need a thumbs up or whatever, of you started a new habit on a Monday, and by Wednesday you were back where you started from, or even Tuesday. How many? Apparently, they say there's some gyms that hire more equipment from the 2nd of January, and they hire it for 2 weeks because everybody comes in, and then by the 2nd week of January, they return all the equipment because nobody's using them anymore. You know, how many? I need a show of hands. How many people have started? Yes. How many people have started? You wanted a good habit and you started, you put everything, you thought you put everything in place, okay? And you felt that, oh, I know what I'm doing. And then you find out that by the next day, in fact, sometimes you've even forgotten that you started the habit, let alone, you know, let alone that you're going to continue. Thank you, everybody who's been honest, because that's me. Sometimes it takes me a month to start the habit. I say to myself, I'm going to do this. And for the next 1 month, every day, I'm like, okay, tomorrow is a better day. Tomorrow is a better day. Tomorrow is a better day, right? But the truth about it is that many habit forming is not black or white. It's not just that, oh, I want to start this new habit and then I'm just going to do it. There's some that are, you know, there is stopping a bad habit and there's starting a new habit. They're not the same coin, because stopping a bad habit, right, it involves a lot more. We need to know, why do I even have this habit? So I'll give you an example. You bite your nails, okay? When you're nervous, or when you're, well, let's just say you bite your nails and you don't even know why, and you go and buy those things that they used to use to stop people biting their nails. You will eat through that thing because you've not yet sorted out what is the root cause. Why am I even biting my nails? So some people will bite nails because they're stressed out. Some people will bite nails because they're anxious, you know? So where did it start? What is it? That is about stopping a bad habit, because it's not just as easy as I'm not going to do it from tomorrow. It's actually not as easy as that. And what we're going to find out is that the brain is a machine that you cannot just destabilize it in one day and expect it to follow your lead. And that's why sometimes it's actually even difficult to adjust your weight downwards, okay? Because your brain is like, hey, what's going on here? And you will find out that if you're not doing it properly and you start starving yourself, your brain is going to take every calorie out of what you're eating. So if you were eating a slice of bread, and let us just say, I don't believe in calories, but let's just say, for sake of argument, that one slice of bread has 5 calories, you will be shocked that your body will take 25 calories out of that slice of bread. That's how smart your body is. So you have to almost trick it. You have to work with your brain, okay? But the good news is that you are also in control of your brain. So you can control it up to a certain extent, okay? So we're going to look at some myths. So for example, I remember one lady, she came on one of my challenges. And by the way, I've got, I've pasted the latest challenge, which is starting next week, Monday. So please go and register and come and join us, okay? This lady, after the 2nd week, she stopped coming. She pulled out of the challenge. And I said to her, why? In my most gentle voice. I knew she was going to be a problem the minute she came, because she was complaining about this complaint. So she said, oh, you're not motivating us. The first myth, my sisters and brothers, is that you need motivation to start a new challenge. The truth about it is that I can motivate you. How many people have listened to motivational speakers? And by the time you get home, 2 days later, you've actually forgotten what it is they said. Meanwhile, when you were there, you were like, yes, yes, yes. So motivation is not what is going to give us new habits, right? Another myth is that, oh, you need to do something big. I want to change my habit, so I've got to throw away this and pull out that and do that. Sometimes those things don't work because, like we said, your brain must adjust, bit by bit, right? And then that progress is linear, that when I start here, I'm only going to go up. That's another myth, because usually you find out that when you're trying to form a habit, you go forward a little, you go backwards a little, you stand still a little, right? So it's important, Don't fall into the nothing, all or nothing trap. That's another myth. You know, let's just say you're trying to eat healthy and you eat one biscuit and you say, Joe, I've eaten one biscuit. Let me just take 3 packets. Okay. We're going to learn how not to do that. But those are the things that happen that spoil, our habit forming. And then relying on willpower, you know. So someone like me that I like sugar, well, maybe not white sugar like that, but there are just some sugary things that I shouldn't be eating. I don't keep them. Don't rely on willpower when you're trying to, form a new habit, right? And then don't overcomplicate issues. But let's move on, right? I want us to say one statement I want you to take away is that habit is not about being more disciplined. It's about the systems you put in place. And that's why when they say something, is a system, it's not easy to just break out. They say racism is a system. One person is not just going to get up and say, I'm not going to be racist anymore, and then it's all going to, because they built structures, and that's what you need to do. Build structures around yourself so that you're not relying on discipline. Because what is discipline after all? So the first thing you must know is, and I remember some years ago, I used to do this, and we used to have our challenges was always 66 days, because it takes 66 days, okay, to form a new habit. Some people have said it's 21. Some people say it actually takes 66 days for you to form a new habit. 66 days of consistently doing the same thing. So really, if you're like me, that 66 days will not start counting until maybe 10 days into trying to do this new thing. And then you start to count it. Or else you're going to find out that you're going back and you're going forth and you're not really moving forward. So if in your mind you know that this habit is not going to be in 2 days, I'm just going to be like that. Can I whisper something to you? I'm supposed to take eye drops. If I tell you that I've had to take these eye drops for the last 6 years. If I tell you that it's only in the last 2-3 months that I have been consistently using the eye drops, can you imagine? Important things like eye drops, right? I was going to say praise God, so let's praise God. Okay, so first thing is start with something small, something silly. An example I read of was of somebody who would sleep in their exercise clothes. And they did that for the first 2 weeks, even before they would now go and do the exercise. Start small. Don't look and say, somebody went to the hospital with her husband, and they now called her to say, he mustn't eat this, he mustn't eat this, you must do this for him, you must do this for him, he mustn't do this. And when he came, he said, what did they say? She told him, they said, you're going to die, because all these plenty things they've said I should do, there's no way that I'm going to do it. Okay, so start small, right? Because the brain, like we've said, resists abrupt change, right? Tiny steps bypass resistance. Tiny little things bypass resistance. So, for example, you want to stop eating bread and white flour, okay? Or flour. Why did I say white flour? Flour, right? It may not be easy to just stop cold turkey. Some people can. I can on some things, but not everybody is like that. So before you remove the foundation from under the building, you can decide that, okay, you know what, the easiest thing is I'm not going to eat biscuits anymore. I'm not buying biscuits anymore. I'm not going to eat biscuits anymore. Or you can say, after you've not eaten biscuits for a few days, you can say, I'm not eating bread. Oh, I love bread, but I'm not going to eat white bread. Let me start with brown bread, even though, let me tell you something, there's no difference between white and brown bread, but I'm not going to argue with you on that. So when you're saying, oh, I'm only eating brown bread, the people making the food don't care about you. They only care about their money. And they know once they say this is brown bread, you're going to fall for it. It's just a different color flour. Anyway, but let's just say you decide I'm not eating white bread anymore. I'm going to start eating brown bread. And maybe you don't even really like brown bread. Then you just find that, okay, I'm not eating bread anymore. Now you've taken away biscuits. You've taken away bread. And then you start reading the labels of anything else you're eating. You're like, oh, there's sugar in this thing. Oh, there's flour in this thing. And you start withdrawing it bit by bit by bit, okay? Just so that, when you come to our challenges, we don't just start on day one. There's always a period of easing into it. So start small, because that way your brain is not going to quickly realize, yes, the brain is very smart, but guess what? It belongs to us and we can dictate. Now, anchor on a trigger, okay? There's a guy I listen to, Dr. Andrew Huberman. He's a neuroscientist, and he always says that behavior and reward, then repeat it. Whatever it is you're doing, do this and do this, then repeat it. So when we say anchor on a trigger, so set your alarm, for example, to drink water. I'll give you something. I have a baby. She's not a baby. She's taller than me, and she's not even a baby at all. But I have an alarm to call her every day, okay? Because I just want to be in touch with her all the time. And sometimes I'm too busy to remember. So I have an alarm. Sometimes when the alarm goes, I don't even call her, but I'll send her a message, maybe a heart or something. But now, after years of the alarm, just before the alarm, I know, oh, I need to call her, or oh, I need to message her, okay? So it's a case of just saying, what do I already do? Sometimes that's why we say anchor on a trigger, right? I already do something. Maybe I can do something at that time. So for example, when I used to wear braces, I'd brush my teeth after every meal, okay? And then I started doing some things to coincide with the brushing of my teeth. So it's the same thing, okay, I'm going to set an alarm to drink water. Someone like me, I need to do that. And even when I do that, I'm not drinking water as best as I should. The Lord will help me. That's one of my next good habits. This is something that I know and I preach, but I'm not drinking as much water as I should. But I can start by saying that, oh, I have a meeting every 2 hours. So before I start my meeting, I'm going to have my bottle of water. And by the time I've finished my 1 hour meeting, I'm going to have finished this. Okay? There's somebody who, when he brushes his teeth, he says when he brushes his teeth, whether it's at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, he's not eating anymore. So begin to anchor what it is you have decided to do with a trigger, right? So we always say, don't wake up and eat breakfast. I don't know if I said it last week, why, but it's a long story and we will get to it. But don't eat breakfast, well, eat breakfast because breakfast is the first meal of the day, but don't eat it early in the day, okay? Don't eat it early in the day. And so you can decide to say, oh, I'm not going to have, before I used to have my coffee at 11 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to push my first meal to 11. And then you say, oh, I always have a meeting, or I always pray at 12. Okay, so I'm now moving my first meal to when I pray. Anchor, on a trigger. Use visual cues. So now how I know to use my eye drops is that it's on my bedside table. Before it would be far away or somewhere, but now it's on my bedside table. It's by the lamp. It's by my bedside lamp. So before I put it off in the night, I use it. And sometimes when I'm not putting off that light, the thing is right there. And I know, okay, I need to use it. And it has really, really helped me. Okay. They say it's called habit stacking. So maybe you want to say that, okay, I already do this good habit. Okay. So I'm going to add something else to do with this. Washing your face. If you brush your teeth, then you say, oh, I'm going to wash my face. If I wash my face, then I can put on my creams, or whatever it is. I can tell you that there was a time I was so consistent with pampering my face. It was glowing. So now I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, I need to go back to those days of pampering. And it's just saying to yourself, when I do this, I'm going to do this. When I do this, I'm going to do this. I hope this is making sense to us all. Right? And then you repeat it, and then you repeat it. And then after a while, you start to do it without thinking, right? So step 3, make it obvious and easy. So you want to start eating healthy, right? For some people, what you just need to do is not buy the thing in your house. Now, in Lagos, that's a bit difficult. When I say difficult, I don't mean not buying the thing. Not buying the thing is fine. But we go out all the time, and all these things are there all the time. So you can't even say, sometimes I'd say to my friends, I see them drinking Coke. I'm like, you're drinking Coke, how? And they're like, oh, it's once in a while. I'm like, no, because yesterday you were at so-and-so's 60th. The day before you were at so-and-so's funeral reception. The day before that you were at a wedding. The day before. So, there are just some things that you just say to yourself. So how did I conquer that? I don't eat at parties. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat at parties, but I don't. Because I just said to myself, if you eat at a party, all the things you would never eat in your house, you would eat it there. And then it's rinse and repeat, like they said, like the neuroscientist said. You do it on Monday, you do it on Tuesday. Maybe it's only on Wednesday you don't have a place to go. And then it becomes something that your body, because one thing you must realize is that your body craves what you feed it. That's another way to know that, but that we'll be talking about that when we come to talking about what we eat. Right? Make it obvious and easy. Whatever it is you want to do, don't let it be something that is, for example, so far away. So I joined a gym in VI. I live in Ikoyi. It was such a problem. I mean, because, my gym days, I'm so used to, I could even walk to my gym. So now I'm looking for somewhere that is closer to me than having to get into the car, rushing and getting into the gym like I had already run a marathon because it wasn't so close by. If your gym is far away, you're going to renege on it. Okay. Better still, get a little. I have a little stepper. I actually have a gym in this house. Okay. But I prefer exercise classes. But I got myself a little stepper. So whatever the situation is, I get on my little stepper. I do my 30 minutes. It's not even enough. It's not enough, but at least, I'm doing something. And then I get up. Another thing you can do is that, which is also habits, we call it habit stacking, is that you get up, do stuff yourself. Don't ask someone to always, which is something some of us are used to, right? Step 4. Sorry, part of the step 3, making it obvious and easy, is that the things that you don't want. Sometimes we don't live alone and we don't have that luxury of saying, I'm not going to have this in the house, but make it accessible only to other people. Have somebody lock it, put it under lock and key, and have somebody else keep the key. I mean, if you don't have it, you're not likely to go there and go and take it until you get to a point. And I'm telling you, right, you will do it very quickly. We know we've said 66 days to actually form the habit. But you will find that after a few days, you don't even want to do that thing anymore. You look forward to washing your face and putting all the cream. So now I wash my face and put one cream and go and sleep. So now I'm going to make sure I do everything. And that is really even good. I have some of my clients who are looking at me and, I say to them that, try and take some time. Don't rush around doing everything. And that's another thing you might want to do when you're trying to form a habit. You need to slow your life down a little. If you're rushing around, you're going to find out it's too hectic to even remember anything. I know I've said set alarms and all of that, but rushing around doesn't help anybody to form any good habit. In fact, rushing around is a bad habit that we have all imbibed. Okay, step 4, celebrate tiny wins. Call somebody who will celebrate you and say, oh, I just adjusted my weight downwards by half a pound. And the person, don't call someone who will be, okay, is that all? No, call somebody who will be like, well done, well done. What was that since last week, since you started? So what is it? Oh my goodness, well done. Okay, celebrate yourself. Okay, because or else, why am I doing it? Have a skirt or a pair of trousers when you're trying to adjust your weight down to say, oh, can I fit into this? Okay. Measure your belly, because belly fat, visceral fat, is something that nobody wants. So if it's coming down, it's something to say, yay. And I want to say here that I think the first place where we need to start is our why. Why am I even doing this? Okay. For some people is I want to look good, which is also okay. But I want us to know that looking good, everybody, and I said this last week, everybody now looks good. Have some lashes, paint your nails, do some hair, you look good, okay? But it is so that you will be healthy. It is so that you can live comfortably. It is so that, you are not spending all your money at the doctors or in hospitals. It is so that when they say, come, let's go to the beach, you're not like, oh, I can't be bothered. Because you find that when you're unwell, you don't do very many things. You don't even want to, you don't want to inconvenience yourself. Everything is an inconvenience. Absolutely everything is an inconvenience. Okay? So celebrate your little wins and celebrate your big wins, but celebrate. And you can celebrate in any which way. You can even celebrate, even though, when you come on my challenge on one day of the week, I always say it's a free day. And so many people have said, look, stop calling it a free day. Because when you've worked so hard during the week, you don't want to destroy all your wins. And I can assure you that it can be destroyed. Yes, it is about quality of life. Yes, you're right. Okay, it's not about, my husband used to joke when I say, you shouldn't be doing this. He say, something is going to kill somebody. And I'm like, it may not even kill you. I mean, at least if it kills, then you know that, okay, you're in heaven. But you can just be here on earth and, you become a pain to the people around you who have to cope with you, who have to show sympathy. One of my daughters the other day, she had something and I said, look, you need to do this. And she goes, So, a few hours later, she came into my room. I said, have you done what I said? She said, no. I said, well, please get out. I'm not about to sympathize with you. Okay. Now, the fifth step is that when you regress or you fail, I'd said that, if you eat one cookie, doesn't mean you should just sit down with 3 packets. Okay. But if you fail, don't look at it, or if you don't do what it is you had hoped you would be doing, don't look at it as failure. As somebody said, look at it as data gathering. Now I know that, okay, I don't have the willpower to buy bread in this house. I will eat it. So what days do we have on our menu in this house to eat bread? I will buy enough bread for that day. They will eat it. We will clear it up and there'll be no bread hanging around the house. Okay? Or if you live alone and you have the luxury, you can say, I'm not going to buy bread. So don't look at it as, don't let, what I always say to the people who come on my challenge is, if you fall off the wagon, don't let the wagon roll over you. Get up quickly and get back on. Because it's only knowing yourself and knowing that, oh, I'm not yet at that place where I can behave like this or behave like that. Because I really need this, like I was talking about the why. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this, I put it well, for the quality of life. I want to enjoy this life. Now, if you look at it, you see 90-year-olds who look like 70-year-olds.
How are you?
You don't want to be, sorry, can you mute,
please? You should have come with your mama if you weren't working for a nice hug and cuddle.
Sorry, let me just mute somebody. Okay, right? You don't want to be that person who, I've lost my train of thought. So let's move on, right? So replace I failed with I have now learned, right? Try not to miss it twice though, actually do learn, right? How to stay consistent when life gets hectic. Focus on the non-negotiables because people are always, life is always going to be lifing. Can you please start a wellness group? I have wellness groups, but you have to pay to join. This is what I'm doing for free. But the wellness groups, yes, oh yes, we have challenges. Last year I did a challenge for I don't know, was it 30 or 40 women that was free? So I do have challenges, but you have to pay for it. Okay, how to stay consistent when life gets hectic. Focus on the non-negotiables. So I'll tell you, I started a free challenge on Instagram about walking. Do you know that sometimes I do this my stepper at 11 p.m. because it's not easy to do. It's not as easy as walking, but I know I must do it. So even if it is at 11 in the night, I'm not even sure if it is beneficial to be doing it at 11 p.m. I have a feeling that that's when I should be asleep. But I've pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, and I feel I must do it because I've told the world we're having a challenge, right? Even though between you and me, over this Easter, I haven't walked anything. But no, I lie. I've done a lot of walking in the house, but I've not actually gotten on my stepper. Okay? So focus on the non-negotiables. It's just like brushing your teeth. You won't go out without brushing your teeth. So there's some things that you must say, oh, whatever it is that is happening, I mustn't do this. I've decided I'm not having bread until only on Saturday. Whatever happens, I'm not having this bread. If this bread is there, I'm going to take it and throw it away because I'm not having it. I've gone off white bread, okay? Until you actually go off. They're just some non-negotiables, right? Even if you say, oh, you're supposed to walk 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and you say, do you know what? I must walk even if it's 10 minutes. I'm not going to leave it and let it not happen, right? So, for example, I'll give you a thing about, when you decide something, you must do it, okay? I remember when my mother-in-law passed, I was doing insanity. And insanity was a 60-day challenge. And I was doing it every day. And when she passed, of course, it was not easy. It was a really hectic time. But I stuck to that thing because I'd been doing it for like 30 days or 40 days by the time she passed. And, during all the preparations and everything, I thought, if I don't do anything, I must do this insanity. You have to bring out your a dog with a bone kind of thing and say, I must do this. I must, especially if you've been doing it for quite a while. If you've been good, okay, and you have a slip up, quickly get back on the horse, right? So if you have a habit that you're trying to form that you don't really like, take exercise. Ibilola, are you still on the call? Can you please repost the form, right? So if you hate exercise, for example, okay, make it fun. Exercise doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be jumping up and down. You can decide, I'm going to dance. I'm going to dance in my underwear. I'm going to dance in my exercise clothes. I'm going to touch my toes. I'm going to swing around. Just do something, find something that you like to do. Make it convenient. Okay? I'm very proud of that form because I just took some photographs on, was it Thursday or Friday? And one of the photos is in the form. And I thought, she's looking smoking hot. Let nobody, So those are the wins. You take a photo of yourself and you look smoking hot. Okay? So make it fun. So you want to go on a walk, if you pray, then you can make it a prayer walk. If you listen to podcasts, then you can be listening to a podcast while you walk. I mean, there's so many things I listen to when I'm doing some of these exercises. I love to exercise. I didn't think I loved to exercise. I thought I exercise because I have to. Until one of my daughters, we were in the UK together for a long while, and whatever was going on, I'd say, I have to go to the gym for 1 hour. And she says that whenever I come back, because everybody was moaning and lamenting about exercise. So I thought, okay, yes, exercise is such a... She said, please don't say that. Don't even go there. I'm like, why? She says, because every time you come back and we say, how was it? You'll be like, oh, it was so good. And I thought, oh, okay. I didn't realize I liked it so much. But I've been doing it since I was 21. So I guess, I like it. So make it fun. Find a way of making it fun. Buy little things into your house, not exercise bicycles, because exercise bicycles are just clothes horses, but expensive clothes horses, because you'll just find that after a while, you can't find the exercise bicycle anymore. You have to, look for it under all your clothes, right? Now, how do I break bad habits like late night snacking? This is so funny because we had this conversation yesterday. My son was like, sometimes he'll wake up and go downstairs and drink curry. And the minute he's finished the curry, he's like, what was this all about? Now, I want to tell you that some things like late night snacking and all of that may also be hormonal. Let's take a few steps back. I can see some people I've worked with, so they understand this. What makes us hungry? Please, I need you to unmute. How do we know we're hungry? And if you've worked with me before, please don't answer. Somebody who hasn't worked with me before, how do you know you're hungry? Please just unmute and answer. How do you know you're hungry? Hello? Yes. Oh, I thought somebody was going to answer.
Your stomach starts to rumble.
Okay, your stomach starts to rumble. Okay, anybody else? Actually, I'll tell you why your stomach rumbles, okay? Your stomach rumbles when it is empty. So you're right, when your stomach is empty, your stomach rumbles because it is cleaning itself. It's a self-cleaning agent. So sometimes when we say I'm detoxing, well, that's another topic for another day. But your tummy is actually, for once, having a chance to clean itself. Yes? But that's not where you know you are hungry from. Does anybody else want to take a guess? So you're
Like
partially
there's
right
a
there.
suggestion. A
Sorry?
suggestion. It's like you hear it. It's like a
Oh,
suggestion. Something that says I should eat, you
so
know?
what's that thing?
Like
Your
it's in
brain?
your
Your
mind or
mind,
your brain. There's just
your
something.
brain, your brain.
Yes, your
So
brain.
your hunger
Yes.
comes, you are triggered that you are hungry from something called your hypothalamus, right? It's in your brain. It tells you that's what triggers that you're hungry. And it's telling you you're hungry, not because your tummy is empty, but because there is no nutrition in your body, which is why you can sit down and eat 10 puff puffs and still be hungry. You can sit down, eat 10 puff puffs, and then eat amala. So it comes from your brain that you're hungry. So, hunger is not about what you've eaten or what you've not eaten. Okay? It's nutrition. It's nutrition based. So if your body, which is why people who are not eating good nutrition get bigger and bigger, because they're actually having to eat a lot before the brain is like, okay, maybe there's a bit of nourishment there. And so if you don't have to eat so much to be nourished. So when people say, oh, I feel faint when I haven't eaten, it's not because you haven't eaten that's the problem. It's because you don't have nourishment. So sometimes you get a little bit of nourishment and you're fine. And what dictates whether we put on weight, we adjust our weight upwards or downwards, is really not what you eat, whatever. It is your hormones, because it is a hormone that makes you feel hungry. It is a hormone that makes you feel good. And you know how food goes hand in hand sometimes with feeling good. It's your hormone that makes you feel depressed. It's your hormone that makes you feel happy. It's your hormone that makes fat and stores the fat. So when they ask you what makes you adjust your weight upwards, it's not really what you're eating, it's your hormones. If your hormones are in the right track, and which is why we need to set good habits, right? Because that will make us well. Is when we're unwell, part of being unwell is that your hormones are all over the place. And yes, there's some places. So for example, the weather can affect your mood, and your mood will affect what you're eating or how you want, whether or not you want to go out and exercise, or, so our hormones play a really large part of, that. So I wanted to say that sometimes late night snacking may be because of your hormones. So for menopausal women or premenopausal women, sometimes your hormones are going crazy. I remember 10, 15 years ago, I would wake up in the middle of the night, go downstairs, open the freezer, rummage in it for cake, frozen cake, bring the frozen cake out, cut it, put it in the microwave oven, right? And then I had a really disgusting habit. I'd sprinkle powdered milk on it when it is all done, right? And then sit down and have a feast. And the minute I've eaten it, I'm like, what did I just do? So sometimes your hormones, another thing that can drive us, right? And this is sort of a little bit advanced, but I will try to explain it very quickly, is that we have germs in our stomach, in our alimentary canal, right? Now, when you take a lot of antibiotics, so you have the good germs and you have the bad germs. The good germs actually help you with digestion, help you to keep you well, and all those sort of things. If you're taking a lot of antibiotics, these germs are biotics. So the antibiotics kill off the good germs, but the bad germs are strong. They're not so easy to be killed off, right? And then they take over. Sometimes those bad germs need sugar, and they will not make you rest until you have eaten sugar. And that's why I said it's not about willpower. It's about what you feed yourself, at least when it comes to good habits concerning what you eat. What you eat will determine what you crave. So if you start to eat biscuits, you will find out that the good biome don't have nourishment to develop. The bad biome, the bad ones, right, they get strong And I mean, I was listening to a lady who says that she'll be eating and crying because she doesn't want to eat, but she cannot help herself. And I'm sure, I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but that maybe you've heard of fecal transplant, where they transplant poop from somebody's intestine who has good gut flora, and they put it into somebody who doesn't have good gut flora. And then that person just begins to, shed their weight because what is going on internally, which is why I said that it's not just one thing. If you are eating food that's not good, it translates in a certain way. But sometimes the reason we're eating food that's not good is not entirely up to us. Okay? And I'm rounding up now. So if you have any questions, right? So acknowledge what your struggles are. Don't be that person who says, well, I can do it. Olamide Balogun can do it. So me too, I can do it. If you can't do it, it's okay. What it is that we then form a system. We put a system around ourselves to help us. There was a lady many years ago, I don't know if she's online, when I sent her her menu, she said she just called her cook. She called her house help. She called this person. They organized that. She didn't go into the kitchen. She didn't know what. When it is this time, she will eat. When it's that time, she couldn't believe it. After a week, she lost 5 kg. And people will say, oh, it's water weight. Yes, but there's some water weight that you don't even want. So what is not good is what has gone. Okay, now try and put timelines, okay, to whatever it is you're doing. We know it takes 66 days, but say to yourself, okay, within the next 5 days, I must have reached here, and work towards it. Having said it's not about discipline, you still have to work towards it. It's not that you throw up your hands and say, well, the cuckoo said it's not me. So if my biome allows me not to eat, then I'll be okay. No, you still have to make that effort. But we're saying cut yourself some slack. Okay? More importantly, remember at the beginning, I said it's not about discipline. It is about a system. Okay? It's about the systems you put around you. So have a plan. Have a plan. When I go out sometimes and I'm coming home, I'm calling my housekeeper from the road to say, I'm home in 20 minutes, please have my food ready. Because if I get home and the food isn't ready, I'll go and look for groundnuts wherever they've hidden them. I'll go and look for things that I'm not supposed to be eating. Have you learned anything today? And are there any questions?
Yes, please.
Please, somebody round of applause for me. I'm sure I've taught something I've taught you one thing. It doesn't have to be many, many things. Just one thing. Remember the man who went to hospital and they said, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. His wife said, well, they say you're going to die because I can't do all these things that they've said. Okay, thank you for the clap. Okay, you were going to ask a question.
Yes, please. It's about fruits.
Yes.
This no fruits, for some of us, I don't know if I don't eat enough. So that's where I get my roughage from, mostly.
Yeah.
So you can change it from there. So I'll tell you what it is about fruits, okay? And I always say, I'm not going to argue, right? There's some people here that I say, just trust the process and stop this to know, okay? Because the to know hasn't got you very far. But let me tell you.
Tell me about it.
Let me tell you about fruit. Fruit is the most fattening sugar. Fructose is the most fattening sugar. It goes straight into your fat cells. White sugar, right, is converted into glycogen that goes into your liver as energy. So if you can run a marathon, you will burn that sugar, even though we never do. So it eventually turns to fat. But fructose goes straight into your fat cells. A friend of mine over the weekend was telling me that in her house, they squeeze her fresh orange juice until the day passed, and they told her that it takes 10 oranges to get a glass. 10 oranges to get a glass of orange juice. Can you imagine what that is doing? It's just going straight into your fat cells. It's making your insulin spike like madness. And once your insulin spikes, everything you eat is going to be divided into fat cells, glycogen, whatever. So that roughage you say you're getting is not very much. It's really not very much. You want roughage, right? Eat your vegetables. Because with your vegetables, you don't have the sugar, you have a lot of the nutrients, right? And you have the roughage. And there are some other foods that give you roughage. But fruit, what I always say is that you choose one day and have your fruit, and you don't have to eat the fruit with sense. But if you are trying to adjust your weight downwards, you would think that, oh, without fruits, I can't do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can, because fruits are like the sweets of nature. You don't eat sweets every day and expect to move forward.
That makes sense.
One thing I wanted to say is that, and we're going to get there maybe in the next session, is that your mind is the first place to conquer. And I should have said that with the habits. Your mind is the most powerful thing. You've known something since you were little. Nobody can tell you it's not the way, but it is not the way. Because the people who taught you, if we look back to when we were young, in my house, we didn't eat meat every meal. When I was growing up, you ate meat once a day at one meal. But now, people eat meat throughout. Now, you have soft drinks throughout. The children have soft drinks throughout, if the parents are not on the watch. There's nothing you want to eat, you can just order it. Now, there's nothing but that's not how it was before. Before, I remember in my mother's village, when we would go there, they would wake up very early, right? They're all going to the farm or whatever. They would eat. I had an auntie who used to make akara. They would eat then. They would go the whole day and come back at 4 to eat dinner. And by 6:30, everybody shut down. But now we eat breakfast. We snack on this. I was speaking to somebody today who says, oh, I do intermittent fasting. I said, oh, well done. And then he says, oh, when I start to eat, so I snack, and then I stop it. And I'm thinking to myself, he's done well that he even knows about intermittent fasting, but this isn't intermittent fasting. The fact that I don't eat for a few hours of the day doesn't mean I should eat the whole world in the times. One of the reasons I'm doing this at this time is because the Muslims and the Christians have just finished fasting. There's no time when you put on the most weight than after a fast. And that is why you find that these people who are doing all this fasting, instead of being slim, they get bigger and bigger with each fast. Any other question? I don't know if I helped you, but I can't do without
food. Thank you.
It's good when you are maintaining the weight, and it's good sort of once in a while, but you can't eat it all the time. It's not healthy.
Okay, I hear you.
Sorry.
I'll try.
Anybody else have a question? Okay, to fruits. We combine breakfast, lunch, and dinner to break our fast. Yes, we combine breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yes, but not the full breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What is the role of portion control in weight loss? Can it help? Yes, it can if you are eating a lot. But what I always say is that eat the good stuff. If you're eating vegetables, you don't have a portion problem because you can't eat so many. You can't eat so much cauliflower. Do you understand? So eat to your fill and then not eat. Not that you do portion control and then you have small groundnut here and then you have small this there and then you have 2 bananas there and then you have, sit down in one meal, eat properly. Eat properly doesn't mean one big eba, okay? So it's really, portion control is good, but if you're eating the right stuff, you can actually eat to your fill. Because what puts a strain on everything is when you are eating little. No. Any other question? About habits. Nobody's asked me about habits. Groundnuts, they are the devil's playground. Except highs. No, sorry, I'm looking at, let me just look at some of the questions in the chats. Groundnuts, I wouldn't eat too. I love groundnuts, so. And that's why I say to people, groundnuts, I don't know the discipline that will make you take just a little. And then you won't have, you will take 2 handfuls of groundnuts, and that is not the best because of what it is. It's omega-6. What is healthy for you is omega-3. Please, can we take coffee daily? You can take coffee, but there's some people. So I find that when I don't want to eat, if I drink anything that has any taste at all, my mouth is open and I then start to crave other things. So I always say that the best thing is just drink water. Start off drinking water. You can reintroduce coffee. But then again, what have we said? Start little by little. If the first thing you can do is remove the milk from your coffee, and then the next thing you do is remove the sugar, and then, do you understand? Bit by bit. But you can drink coffee. You can drink coffee, but not too much, right? White bread, is it fine? No, it's flour. But therefore, you don't have a problem with weight. You actually need to put on some weight so you can eat white bread. But white bread isn't good. Flour isn't good for anybody. So
No,
it's better.
wheat bread.
I said wheat bread, and it's not
Excuse
for
me.
my sister.
Sorry. I read it as white.
Sister wants to
Yeah,
know if wheat bread is fine.
there's no bread that is fine.
It's
Because
all the same.
what is wheat bread? Is white bread not wheat bread? It's all made from wheat now. And they're kidding us sometimes. How do I know it's wheat? How? Because they wrote it on the paper. Don't they lie all the time about what is inside food? So when they say something is something, you know, yeah, sorry. The devil fashioned against everybody. I'm telling you, groundnuts. Please, can one take coffee daily? What of wheat bread? Sorry, Efa. But you can eat wheat bread from time to time. Okay? My husband talks about the carnivore diet. What do you think about this? They say it's healthy for those who can do it. I am vegan, so I cringe at the idea of the carnivore diet. They say that people adjust their weight downwards. I don't know how healthy it is, but if it is, if weight loss is the primary thing, then, I've heard and read about it that, this Huberman that I talked about, he believes in a carnivore diet. And the carnivore diet is vegetables, meat, no fruit, just vegetables and meat. I don't eat meat. So, was there a dates or prunes question? So prunes are here allows you, move your bowels, and so do dates. But dates can be fattening. So if you're going to have dates, just have one or two. It's not something that you should say because it's very sweet. So it can be fattening and it's fruit sugar. But apparently it also has, it also helps with bowel movement. But what I think about this bowel movement thing is that if you're eating enough of your vegetables, you will eventually move your bowel. It may be uncomfortable for a day or two, but trust the process and you can. And then if for any reason you can, then maybe you can have some prune juice, or you can take a gentle laxative, not a laxative that you're now taking. Someone said to me, you overdosed on laxative. I don't understand. But if once every 3 months, you have to. But the truth is that if you're eating your vegetables, you won't really need your laxatives. We're still going to have to shut down because I don't want this to be more than an hour. So wheat bread, my husband talked to answer the dates of Prince question. I was told to eat some low sugar fruits like pawpaw, watermelon. Please don't ask me about this fruits thing again. Watermelon isn't bad, actually. Watermelon isn't bad because it doesn't, it has a low glycemic index. But an hour before meal to regulate blood. No. I don't know about regulating blood sugar. I don't know about fruits regulating blood sugar. No. What regulates blood sugar is vegetables, not fruits. And vegetables still have carbohydrates, but it regulates. I don't know about regulating blood sugar and using a low, no. I'm sorry, I don't. But if you do vegetables, we actually even say eat vegetables before anything else. Okay, eat your vegetables. And when I say vegetables, I'm not talking of a food that has died inside the oil in the stew, but you know what I mean. Vegetables that you've cooked lightly. I'm not sure that it's correct. Avoid them. They have high it's seed bread, a good source of seeded bread. Okay, bread is bread. What seed is in the bread? Seeded bread, protein. I don't know about that. Because let me tell you something. Wheat on its own actually is not bad. When you grind something, it's just like cocaine. If you take cocaine leaves, they make it into tea and it's nice. But the problem is when you grind it. So that is actually a challenge. When you grind things and they become fine, they become addictive, and then they are no longer good as they were supposed to be. So seeded bread, I don't know what that is. Maybe it is, but I doubt that it'll have protein, except if they've added protein. And sometimes these protein powders, where it's made from, right, and what it can do to your kidney is a challenge, right? Abroad, most fruits and vegetables about are non-organic. So who healthy is healthy eating them? Oh, thank you. Yes. Even the organic ones, I come now and I say this thing I'm selling is organic. Do you know? Because to be organic, it means that you are far away from any farm that is using fertilizers, because the wind will blow and the place where they're using fertilizers, what they're doing there will blow onto your own farm. So even when they say organic, who knows? We know that they lie. We know that all these food manufacturers lied. Are protein shakes good? So that's what I was saying, that they say these days that it's not the best to add protein. Some people still use it. I mean, people want to build muscle and all of that. They still use it, but they're just saying be careful with it, because they're finding, that it's actually affecting some organs more than they thought. So they're saying if you're eating a healthy diet of protein, you should be able to get by. But some people use protein, they add protein shakes. Somebody said, what to eat to cut down on belly. Somebody said okra especially. I don't know. Tommy, what do you mean okra especially? What were you talking about? And then somebody said what to eat to cut down on belly fat. That one I can't answer here. Nobody asked me question on habits. We're going to talk about belly fat on another day. Belly fat is not about what you eat. It's about another thing. Is a 500 ml of tiger nut milk all right to drink daily? I don't know about daily. Tiger nuts, it's got fruit sugar in it.
Exactly.
Okay. It's got fruit sugar in it. So I don't know about drinking it every day, but if you've been drinking it and it's okay and you haven't, it hasn't done anything to you, then you can, you get to a certain point where, where you start to then reintroduce things, when you start to maintain and you begin to know what is good for you. I do a lot of experimentation on myself, and I'm always struggling sometimes. And sometimes I'm afraid that, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to get back to what it is I was, Okra helps regulate blood sugar. In fact, something I just heard about okra that I'm going to try out, and then I wanted to try it out before I came to talk about this. Another thing that helps regulate blood sugar is apple cider vinegar. But okra, right? I was just reading about how okra, infusing it in your water. Last week I was talking about infusing with cucumber and all of these things, that you can actually infuse okra, put it in your water, cut it, put it in your water, right? And let it sit for 15 to 24 hours and then drink it for a week. They said that we will come back and testify. And so I didn't want to start saying that until I've done it myself. So I don't have okra that's not cooked in the house. So from tomorrow, I'm going to try and get some okra and close my eyes and chug it down, because of course it'll be slimy. Yes, apple cider vinegar. Okay, so it's 7:58. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. I hope this, you've gotten something out of this. What about Chahi's helping, please, right? We've put in the form again. If you want to join the next challenge that's starting on Monday, please sign up. Yes, I'll send the recording. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Everybody, thank you so much for coming. So we'll do this for a few more weeks and then we'll see how it goes. Okay. Thank you. And obviously, I think you all have sort of my number or whatever. You can you reach out to me if you still have further questions. But we want to honor people's time and say, at 8 o'clock, we're going to shut down. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And if you didn't get the link and you want it, you can always ask me and I'll send it to you. Shalom, shalom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sis. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Pastor Lamde. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
That was really
Shalom,
enlightening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I did the meeting.
Bye. God bless you.
Amen. Thank you. Bye-bye. Shalom.